Well, our blueberries are doing really well. I have a little project which I'm going to undertake. I don't really have the time, but it needs to be done. This triangle wicking bed, I've let it run out of water. That's busted off. I'm letting this just die. There, carrots and celery and all sorts. I'm going to shift it. Massive task, I know, but it's really in the wrong spot. And when I do, I'm going to reset it up, and I'm going to take the videos of the process, how I set up the wicking beds. So over the next few days, that's what I'm going to try and do, as well as make tanks and garden beds. Right, so this is where we're at so far with this wicking bed. I've been digging down, and I've been even pedantic enough to be using a tiny little shovel like that where I can. Now, people ask me all the time about these, what I call a false floor or a false bottom, and why I say it's pointless. Well, this is the reason why. This is what's left of the crate that we turned upside down in here. Get it out. And put that mesh and that on. There it is, sitting on the bottom in pieces, busted. Now that's a fairly heavy sort of a crate that we put in there. I'm talking, you can stand on them and they don't collapse under your weight. And as you can see, the dirt is on the bottom anyway. So that's the reason why I say don't worry about putting in a false bottom or a false floor. Anyway, we'll continue. Well, on this lovely humid day, getting there, but just another little update. More smashed. That's the remnants. That's what it's done. It's completely destroyed those frames that were in here, which proves my point really, because for I don't know how long, but for quite some time, those crates were not doing anything. All that was, as you can see there, just a big belly. All the soil was on the floor. So there was no fake bottom, if you like. So it was still working quite fine as a wicking bed. The reason I'm moving it is because when I put it here, these trees were nowhere near as big as what they are now. And yes, it's getting a little bit tight in here. So this has got to go. Okay, motor on. Okay, so I'm puffing and panting a bit here. Now, there's a remainder of the last one. Now I know it's a bit hard to see, really, and tell. But once again, my theory, I think, is fairly well correct. Hard work shoveling. Good for you. Anyway, I think the fact that these being collapsed is one thing, that's fine. But also, like I say, it's difficult to see because of pulling the fabric out. But there was certainly a layer of soil on the bottom. The overflow's there, and it never really, well, it never choked up. Now the corrosion has got into this, as you can see, but this wicking bed has been here. This is the second one I ever made. The oldest one's got to be 12 years old, I suppose, 10, 12, between 10 and 12. This has got to be between, say, 9 and 11 then, years old. It's got to be that old. I moved here 2007. Yeah, so, yeah, what are we now, just about to turn 2020. So yeah, it's every bit that old. Anyway, I will continue, and I will endeavour to set this up probably tomorrow if I can find the time. I'll set it up my way, and then we'll see how it works. Job done. People ask me about why put it on corrugated iron. That's the reason why. Look at that. Perfectly preserved. If I was to tip this over now, the bottom, I'm sure, would look exactly the same. That's why you put it on corrugated iron. So this is the bottom of the wicking bed. As you can see, it's very well preserved thanks to sitting on corrugated iron. You can see the marks of the corrugated iron on there, but very well preserved. Now I'm going to take a chance in this here because it's going to sit on sand. Now I always say to people it's best to sit them on a concrete slab, but I'm going to sit it on sand, and if something goes wrong then I'll take a video of that as well and show you why it's best to sit it on a slab. Alright, I shall continue. Stage with this wicking bed, I've set it up on the sand base on corrugated iron. There's the little overflow pipe. There are the bales of straw. Clearly you can see there are no false bottoms or geofabric nets or anything else in there, just straw. The next job is going to be to top fill it with soil. And then once I do that, obviously plant it out. And then we'll see over time how it goes. I won't be filling it today. We seem to be in line for a storm, which will be the first one we've had, considering as it's the end of December. We've had no storms. That'll be a bit of a change. We've had a lot of cold weather, and the hot days we've had have been very hot. So yes, that'll be tomorrow or the next day. I'll try and get to that. Anyway, that's the wicking bed set up to now. Decided to do one more little video here, just to show something else that should be done before you actually set your wicking bed up. I'm going back around here again to check for leaks, because what I'm actually doing is I'm putting water into the wicking bed. I'm putting it in via the overflow pipe, and the reason why really is because that's the extent of the hose. It won't reach any further, it's only just reaching to there. So yes, anyway, it's a good idea to put your water in first. Now the other thing that the water will do is it will give you a level as to how good or not good your level is. So you can use the water to do that. Mind you, don't fill it up too much because you won't be able to move it if you do need to re-level. Anyway, so you just put some water in first, check for leaks, because it's very easy to repair a leak of a wicking bed when it's brand new. But if you fill it up with soil and you find that it leaks, well, that's a lot of work to fix it. Alright. So here's the wicking bed now, all set up with soil. The only thing left to do now is to plant it out. Now the soil's going to sink, particularly as the straw bales start to go down, but that's okay because at the end of this growing season I'll top it up with some fresh soil.